Do we email it to you?
It's the language that's like specifically saying it's easier. You don't want to you do not want to
Spending months.
knowing like this group.
We're 2000. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Everyone should have them.
Here's the deal.
All right, we're going to get going. St. George City Council regular meeting agenda, June 9th, 2026 at 5 p.m. St. George Fire Department, 14100 Airline Highway, St. George, Louisiana, 70817. As always, we'll stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for our prayer today. I was blessed when I came into the room this afternoon. An old friend and coach around town in St. George, been here a long time, Mr. Butch Struthers. He gave me this coin. And I knew I had to do the prayer. I always do the prayer as we open up our meetings. And we had a little time after our original meeting for me to kind of look at this thing. And this coin, he told me to keep it in my pocket because every day we must place the full armor of God with us in everything that we do. Every decision that we make, every action that we take. And so I just wanted to share this coin. And I do promise to keep it in my pocket, Mr. Butch. I appreciate you giving it to me. But in Ephesians 6, it's actually 10 through 18. We all know the story. We all know the Bible verse. It says, keep the full armor of God. Put on the full armor of God. The belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the sandals of peace, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit. May we all, in our homes, our life, with our family, our friends, our city, our state, and our country, always have the full armor of God upon us. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
All right, roll call. Councilman Merle.
Here.
Councilman Talbot.
Here.
Councilman Monticello.
Here.
Councilwoman Cook.
Here.
Councilman Himmel.
Here.
Councilman Evans.
Here.
Councilman DeLucci.
Here.
Everybody's present and accounted for. We have a quorum. Approval of the minutes of the May 26, 2026 council meeting. All council members have received those minutes and reviewed them. Council?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Himmel.
Second.
Second by Monticello. Any opposed? Here none. Minutes have been approved. We have a very special proclamation here tonight. We have a proclamation recognizing June 14th, 2026 as the 251st birthday of the United States Army. So Proclamation 2026-03 for the City of St. George, State of Louisiana. Whereas the U.S. Army has proudly defended this nation's interests for 251 years, and whereas citizens of St. George have fought bravely in and supported all of the nation's wars, from the Revolutionary War to current worldwide deployments, and continue to make the state proud by also serving in peacekeeping missions around the world. And whereas the regular Army, U.S. Army Reserve, and National Guard have all provided many St. George citizens with vocational and educational opportunities, as well as valuable life lessons in courage, discipline, and teamwork. And whereas today's Army still offers St. George citizens from all walks of life an opportunity to serve their state and nation proudly while bettering themselves and their families. Now therefore, I, Dustin Yates, Mayor of the City of St. George, do hereby proclaim June 14th, 2026 as Army Day, in commemoration of the Army's 251st birthday in the City of St. George, and urge all citizens to join me in this worthy observance. We have Staff Sergeant Darylyn Acevedo. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Good. I was worried about that. If you would like to come up and receive this proclamation for the United States Army. All right, monthly activity report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. In your binders, you have a copy of the St. George Monthly Status Report. For May, on our occupational license, we had 84. Remarkable that we're still getting some of those in. Building permits, I know I keep saying I don't know how this number keeps going up, but it keeps going up, and so it went up again. We set a new record for the month of May. The number of permits that we processed, 829. Planning and zoning, we had 28 cases. It's also a substantive increase. Under code enforcement, we had 274 cases. Another substantive increase. A lot of that's probably due to grass starting to grow. And DPW requests, we had 296, which is about on par, and we had 258 cases completed there. Under the technology, our systems continue to work uninterrupted and without cyber intrusion. Our QMinder system is scheduled for the end of the month. We started a new program manager to help with the program director and the public works director to assist us in making sure that projects are completed on time. We hired a new permit tech, and we're posting a position for a permit reviewer to review construction plans that will be locally based. I know this is something that has been asked for, so we're advertising for that position. So if you know anybody, send them my way. Economic development, our economic development strategy team with TIP Strategies, working closely with Victor Advisors and our comprehensive plan consultants to complete the plan that should be due around September of 2026. I thank all the council members that were in attendance and met with our advisors that came in and worked with us and helped us identify what some of our values and goals were. And we got a lot of grants in progress, and some submitted and a few approved. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Thanks, Scott. Council, we had 4 late ads for introduction, and I'll ask to add 4 items under introductory items. I would need a motion and a second and unanimous approval in order to add these 4 items. Motion to add by Evans.
Second.
Second by Merle. Is anybody opposed to adding these 4 items under introductory items? These aren't items to be acted on tonight, just simply to be introduced. Seeing none, we'll add items 1 through 4 under introductory items. Item number 1 for introduction, zoning matter number PD-26-0004, ordinance to approve a major change for small plan unit development to construct 3 educational buildings and a secondary access on Perkins Road and provided for related matters. Zoning Commission recommended approval with conditions: no left turns, exiting existing and proposed drives, access control improvements per MOVE BR standards, revised plan required prior to council action. Number 2, zoning matter number T-26-0003, ordinance to amend Title 7 of the St. George Unified Development Code to establish storage of hazardous material in bulk as a use with standards and provide for related matters. Zoning Commission recommended approval of that item. Number 3, zoning matter number T-26-0004, ordinance to amend Title 7 of the St. George Unified Development Code to update regulations for signs and billboards and to provide for related matters. The Zoning Commission recommended approval. Item number 4, zoning matter number T-26-0005, ordinance to amend Title 7 of the St. George Unified Development Code to update street name change procedures and provide for related matters. Zoning Commission recommended approval for that as well. All right, items for public hearing and action. Number 1, zoning commission case number Z-26-0001, amendment to rezone tract X, lots LRK LLC-1, LRK LLC-2, LRK LLC-3, LRK LLC-4, 9-A, 9-B, and 9C of the Leon R. Kleinpeter property from C2, C1, and R to the new base zoning district and to provide for related matters. Sherry, did you have something to add on that?
Yes, I just want to inform the council that yesterday I received a courtesy copy of a lawsuit that was filed, e-filed yesterday, but accepted by the court today. And so I'm going to recommend no action on this item at this time, deferring it to give us a chance to analyze the lawsuit and develop a strategy to address it.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion.
We'll open up for public comment, and we can do that. This is a public item, so if anybody's here is to publicly speak on this item, now will be your time. I have a couple cards. First card I have is Mr. Lauren Kleinpeter, who wishes to speak.
I'll defer.
Defer? Yes, sir? Well, he defers to speak. Mr. Paul Plochet?
Yes. This will be short. Get the worst half. Last time you said my wife was the better half. We support the MX3.
Press the button on the mic.
Sorry, we support the MX3 zoning for the Kleinpeter property. Thank you.
Okay. Would anybody else like to make public comment on that item? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period at this time. Council?
Motion to defer.
Motion to defer by Merle, second by Himmel. Anybody opposed to that? Hearing none, this item has been deferred. Item number 2, under items for public hearing and action, ordinance to create, equip, maintain, operate, and support a municipal library system. I'll give it to.
Hey, while you're doing that, can we move that to the last item on the list to get rid of the other agenda items? And that way, if people are here on the other items, they can go.
We can, let them clear out. Councilman, you had something that you want to do?
Yeah, on agenda item 2, I'd like a motion to move that to the end of the agenda tonight. That way we can get rid of the smaller items that are going to have less time so those folks can get out because there'll be less discussion.
So you're making a motion to move item 2 to 10 and take 10 and move it up to 2, I guess?
However, or just make 2 the last agenda item.
Okay, that's fine. We'll do that. So there's a motion to move action item number 2 to the end of the agenda. Second by Himmel. Anybody opposed to that? Hearing none. We will move that to the end of the agenda. Excuse me?
Speak up, we can't hear in the back.
I'm pretty loud. You're the first person that's ever told that to me. I'll do my best. Is that better?
Yeah, that's much better.
No?
Yes.
Okay.
Turn the mic up.
Oh, man.
Don't turn them up.
No, don't turn the mics up, then they start squeaking. All right, item number 3, ordinance to amend Title 4, Chapter 1, relative to the service of notice in advance of administrative hearing within a division of administrative adjudication. Councilwoman Cook, this is your item.
This is to add wording in here that this has existed and has been in existence since March of 2025. But currently, there's a process in place that is delaying. It's costing a lot of money bringing attorneys back. People are not picking up their certified mail. This is just putting an amendment in that says that it will be sufficient notification. I'll read it to you. It says, whether returned is delivered, refused, unclaimed, or undeliverable, shall be considered as having fulfilled the notification requirement. Proof of notification and attempts at service shall be entered in the record for each case prior to the hearing. And then I also want to point out that we're not doing away with notification. The existing ordinance says, the city shall send notice by certified or registered U.S. mail to the violator or through personal service on the violator at the address listed in the assessor's office for East Baton Rouge Parish. So we are sending certified mail. They are putting a notice on the residents. It's just they're not picking it up, so it's delaying it, and then we go to another month, and then we have to pay everybody to come back. And so this is trying to streamline the process so that we can move forward.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. This is a public item, so we'll open up the public comment period at this time. If there's anybody here to speak on this item, that'll be your time.
What items are you talking about notifying people about?
If you would like to make a comment, you're gonna have to come up here.
But I can't ask a question.
You can come up in here and say whatever you want for 3 minutes.
Sorry, I think last time I got in trouble for it.
You can tell me a fairy tale if you like.
Which items are?
Hold on, before we do it, name and address.
Sherry Tucker, 8707 Grandview. John.
Thank you.
This is the administrative hearing process. So if you've gone into code violation, let's say you have a dilapidated whatever at your house and they've repeatedly tried to get, our goal is compliance, obviously, but there are some people that will not comply. So this is to speed along that process. It's taking sometimes 3-4 months to bring it back around. So we keep paying an attorney to come back and, you know.
I know somebody that didn't get noticed and their house got torn down. It was in North Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
But I know, but it was still East Baton Rouge Parish. It was.
That's nice.
So if something like that, if you get served when you get divorced, why couldn't we make sure somebody gets something if it was really a code violation?
They are. I assure you, we're not going to tear down a house without making sure. This is minor violations that I
People
say
still
minor.
need to know.
But yeah, obviously they need to know, and most of them do know.
Yeah.
They're posted on the house usually, and sometimes a notice in the yard, you know, a little notice. Sometimes they do pick up their certified mail, sometimes not, but
Yeah.
proper notice will be given. This is just we're not at that point, I don't think. We're going to tear down any houses, right, Scott?
No plan, no plan.
Condemnation is a different process.
Yes, it does. Much more elaborate.
Does anybody else in the public choose to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period at this time. The only comment I'll make is that our code enforcement division does an absolutely phenomenal job within the city limits of St. George. And as of the report that I saw yesterday, of all the code enforcement violations that they have sent out, we have an 85% abatement rate, which is pretty tremendous. It's above the national average of code enforcement groups as far as abatement. And what that means is that we notify the homeowner addresses the problem before it becomes an administrative hearing issue, which is the goal. Okay, our goal is not to adjudicate these things. Our goal is not for these to go to the administrative hearing process. Our goal is simply for people to abate the code violation that exists on their particular property. So,
Mayor, real quick, just to add some context to the certified mail process, what the addition is it really reflects what the case law has already said previously. That certified mail, you can't duck service just by not picking it up. That's your address, and you don't claim it or you refuse it. That's still valid service under the law.
All right, council, to you.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Monticello,
Second.
second by Cook. Any opposition to that item? Hearing none, that ordinance amendment has been approved. All right, number 4, ordinance to amend the 2025-2026 general fund and special revenue fund budgets. Brandon, do you want to come up? Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Mayor. How are you?
Good.
Good, good. Thank you, Mayor, Council. So before you, we have the budget amendment for 2025, 2026. And what this does is just bring our projections more in line with the budget. Primarily, sales tax came in a little bit less than what we anticipated, along with a few other line items. So this just adjusted so that we're maintaining compliance with the Local Government Budget Act, so we don't run the risk of not maintaining that 5% negatively revenues or expenditures. If y'all have any questions, feel free.
Does anybody have any questions for Brandon? All right, thank you, Brandon. Don't go far, because your next item is coming up too. This is a public item. If anybody from the public wishes to speak on this item, now would be your time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period. Council?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Merle. Second by Talbot. Any opposition? Hearing none, ordinance has been approved. Item number 5, ordinance to adopt the 2026-2027 general fund and special revenue fund budgets. Brandon?
Thank you, Mayor, Council, community members. Before us, I'm very, very pleased to introduce everyone to the 2026-2027 annual budget and operating plan. There's QR codes set up in the back. If y'all would like to scan that, have access to a digital copy, please do so. Just to kind of give you a brief overview of what this document is, it looks a little bit different than last year's. So just it's in general divided or organized into 6 different sections. Our organization structure and community profile, financial structure, policy and process, the budget itself, capital debt and strategic planning, and statistical data and glossary of terms. And why we went this route this year is to go above and beyond what's just minimally required per the Louisiana Local Government Budget Act. So this puts us in range to go after the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. And for those who don't know, GFOA is the Government Finance Officers Association. So it's just holding ourselves to a higher standard. And I'm very, very proud of the work that we put in at getting it to where it is now. So if we want to just go, briefly overview high numbers of the budget. In total for the general fund, we have $57 million budgeted in revenues, expenditures, $47.5 million, with $9.5 million being transferred out to the capital projects fund. And you'll find a list of those capital projects, $9 million to the capital projects and $481,000 to the debt service fund. So you'll find a list of those projects in the capital projects, capital debt and strategic planning section on page 71. So that's kind of a good brief overview of the document. And again, I've got a lot of people to thank. I won't go through the entire list, but I especially want to thank, of course, Mayor, Council, for all the work that y'all have done. Bryant Dixon, our Planning and Zoning Director, has put a lot of work in. The 2050 Comprehensive Land Use Plan was very, very helpful in putting this document together. And lastly, I want to thank our consultant on this, Diane Allison. We could not have done this without her help. She's been a tremendous help in putting all of the narrative and GFOA criteria ready for this. So we had the numbers. She put all the text behind it. And last thing I'll say on this, So when we introduced this at the last meeting, it was we introduced the ordinance itself, the budget numbers, and the budget message. That's the legally required. So from that point to here, we added all the dressing around it to get the GFOA award. So that's the main difference between then and now. So.
Well, before you leave, Brandon, I know you don't want to waste a lot of time thanking people, but I'm going to waste a little bit of time. And I'm going to thank you and your staff. If anybody's ever been part of a budget process, especially with a city that's not even through our first fiscal cycle, it's challenging. And what he and his team have put together and assembled here is truly remarkable. I applaud them for all their hard work. And I'll also add this too, he brought up Brian Dixon, our planning director. Part of our comprehensive land use plan during our community surveys was to identify the 3 things that are most important to our residents as far as where we spend our dollars. Those things were streets, drainage, and public safety. This budget reflects that. The 3 things that we spend the most money on in the city of St. George are your streets, your drainage, and public safety. So it's a transparent document. It's not 600 pages long, like some other budgets that you might see. There's a reason for it. It's a beautiful book. It's very, very well done, but we want people to feel comfortable enough with it so they can actually read it. People see where their dollars are actually being spent. So for that, as a resident of the city of St. George, I thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
This is a public item. If anybody from the public wishes to speak on this item, now would be your time. Seeing no one, we'll close the public comment period. Council?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Himmel. Second by Monticello. Anybody opposed? Hearing none. New budget has been adopted. All right, number 6, resolution selecting the advocate to continue as the official journal for publication of notices required by law and to provide for related matters. This is a public item. If anybody would like to speak on this item, that'll be your time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period at this time. Council?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Talbot.
Second.
Second by Monticello. Any opposition?
Nay.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Councilman Merle?
Nay.
Councilman Talbot?
Aye.
Councilman Monticello?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cook?
Aye.
Councilman Himmel?
Aye.
Councilman Evans?
Aye.
Councilman DeLucci?
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right, number 7, resolution to authorize the mayor to appoint Kenny Hooks as ad hoc hearing officer. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier. We have an administrative hearing process here. We have 2 appointed hearing officers. This is simply appointing an ad hoc hearing officer to handle one-off type situations. So we have Mr. Hooks. He was gracious enough to come here tonight. But that's what this is about. So if anybody from the public has any comments on this item, that'll be your time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period. Council?
I'd like to say real quick, I had Professor Hooks at Southern University Law Center. Go Jacks. And
So it's his fault.
Yes. Outstanding professor, outstanding legal professional, and we're extremely lucky to have the option to use his services from time to time. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Merle.
Second.
Second by Evans.
Along with Mr. Hooks, thank you for offering your service. St. George, thank you, sir.
Any opposition to that item? Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Hooks. You've been appointed ad hoc hearing officer. We clap here. I know it's different than some places, but we like to applaud the good stuff. Just to get this out the way, because it wasn't listed on here, and I don't know which item they would like to speak on. Marlene Ginter?
I wanted to speak on the library.
Library, okay. All right, item number 8, resolution authorizing the mayor to appoint 5 members to the Construction Board of Appeals. By law, we have to have a Construction Board of Appeals. This finalizes that Board of Appeals with the appointment of these members. Do I need to read the names off?
I would.
Okay. All right, the 5 members up for appointment tonight are Mr. Barry Bernhardt, Mr. John Schust, Mr. Nelson Sanchez, Mr. Willie Martin, and Mr. Tommy Bonaventure. And Mr. Willie Martin is here like he is most of our council meetings. This is a public item. If anybody from the public chooses to speak on this item, that will be your time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period. Council?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Edmonds, second by Himmel. Any opposition to that? Hearing none. Congratulations, Willie, and the other 4 guys on the Construction Board of Appeals. Item number 9, resolution to approve the selection of contractor for post-disaster roadway clearing services and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract and provide for related matters. This is one of our disaster contracts. It's gone through the RFQ process, went through a scoring process, and this was the one that came up on top. Approving this resolution allows me to execute a contractor with the person that was deemed most qualified through the RFQ process. This is a public item. If anybody would like to speak on this item, that will be your time.
Mayor, can you detail which company we're talking about?
Yes. The company is DRC Emergency Services. This is a public item. If anybody from the public chooses to speak on this item, have your time.
How long is the contract? That's all my own question.
Say this one more time.
How long is the contract?
No, give me 1 second. Yeah, Melinda, you can come answer.
Hi, sorry, Melinda Kaiser, Emergency Management Coordinator. We have not drafted a contract. This was just to give the mayor the authority to negotiate the contract with said contractor. So we do not have one yet.
Standardly speaking, with disaster contracts, I need to borrow somebody's thing when I'm died apparently. Thank you, Max. With disaster contracts, when we negotiate the contract with DRC, generally speaking, how long are these contracts for?
They can be anywhere from 2 to 4.
2 to 4 years. Okay, thank you. Once again, these contracts only go into place in the event of an actual disaster, which we hope we don't have. All right, is anybody else in the public would like to comment on that item? Seeing no one, close the public comment period for that. Council?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Talbot, second by Himmel. Any opposition? Hearing none, the item has been approved. Item number 10, resolution to approve the selection of contractor for emergency catering services and authorize the mayor to execute a contract and provide for related matters. This is exactly what it sounds like. This is for food service in the event of a disaster. There was only one company that put in for this. So they were the company that were selected. Drew, because you're going to ask me.
It's Forecom.
Forecom Solutions. Yep. This is a public item. If anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, that would be your time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period at this time. Council? Motion to approve by Himmel. Second by Monticello. Any opposition? Hearing none, item has been approved. All right, last item here, ordinance to create, equip, maintain, operate, support a municipal library system to establish the St. George Municipal Library Board of Control to provide for authority, governance, and to provide for related matters. Councilman Merle?
I'll get more info about it after the public comment. Yeah, this is essentially a backup plan. We know there's a vote to create the EBR parish or pass a tax for the EBR parish library system on June 27th. If that tax were to fail, the proposal fails, there would be no funding for the library ostensibly. for an additional year. This creates the mechanism for St. George to move forward with a St. George library system. It does not create a tax at this time, only creates the mechanisms for it. We would have to come back later to authorize a tax, and then presumably this would include public hearings and public commentary, the appointment of a library control board that would establish the goals of that St. George library system, as well as the millage that would be proposed for any potential future ballots. So right now, it's just a framework for a library system. If June 27th the vote is successful, this library system would just be sitting here dormant with no purpose. There's no intent behind this to create a second library system on top of, or a duplicate library system. There's only the goal and intent to create a library system if voters vote June 27th and vote no. And as we've experienced in recent memory, sometimes the goals of the parish do not mirror the goals of St. George. And if that is the case on June 27th, we would have a mechanism to move forward and create our own library system. And I'll give more information after public comment.
Okay. This is a public item, therefore I'll open up the public comment period at this time. I have some cards here of people that wish to speak. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. Morgan Lamondre. I just don't remember.
Morgan Lamondre, I'm a resident of St. George. Morgan Lamondre, I'm a resident of St. George. I live in Woodstock subdivision, and I am in Councilman Richie Edmonds' district, and I apologize in advance if a 4-year-old comes running up here, because she, as you probably remember, does like to come and participate in this kind of stuff too, which I want to say, just acknowledging up front, that I understand that this is a shell and a framework for creating a new library system, so I know it has no legal effect now, but I think that for me what's important is for us to kind of figure out what services and what do we feel like is lacking in the current EBR library system that we feel as St. George residents we're not getting. And before we start and create our own system, I think it's important for us to do that, because right now it is still creating a bureaucracy. I think that the burden should be on us as the city of St. George to say what they haven't done. And I know I've heard your comments about, locations, and there's only one location in the city of St. George, but I am able to access most of the stuff that I obtain from the library system through my own home. So by all effect, I am able to get everything I need in the city limits. The digital services alone, I definitely get more than my money's worth. I have my residence as well as a rental property in St. George. And so even looking at all the property taxes I pay on both property taxes for the parish library, I more than make up for it. My kids have access to tutoring. We go there often. And for the crafters that are in St. George, we have quite a number of crafters, and I'm saying crafters, like, the Cricut users and all. They have so much available that I feel like people just are not even aware of the services that are provided. Right now, and some of you may know my work with STAR, you can have access to file a protection order in EBR library systems. That's not something available anywhere else in the state, and we should be very proud of the services that we have in the library system. So until I understand it's the framework, but it is a framework without a lot of information about how we would improve upon our current library system. So before even this framework, and I heard if the tax fails, then we have a discussion, but even if the tax fails, I still don't understand, why we would not want to then look into how I guess we would work within the system that we have, because the bottom line is you do need funding, and you cannot fund a public library system with grants and donations alone. And I think that if you look at our library system against any other library system, we stand out, and I just don't want any of that to change before we have a plan. So thank you.
Thank you, Morgan.
She didn't come up here, I'm surprised.
Marlene Gittner.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm Marlene Gettner. I live at 8952 Pine Moss Drive in St. George. I guess I'm going to echo a lot of what she said. I think the East Baton Rouge Parish Library System is rated one of the best library systems in the state, if not the country. I see you sitting back there. I'm not quite sure what we're going to accomplish by thinking about pulling out one library just because somebody's saying it's the only library in the system. As she said, I use the East Baton Rouge Parish Library way, way more than that individual amount of money you say everybody is using. I use up a lot of people's dollars because I read a lot. And I've not been to that library in a long time. I access it through services that are provided by the library. And my concerns right now is if you take out one part of that and put it in a separate system, will you have the same access? That's what my concern is. I'm also kind of curious as to whether this is a parish tax that we passed, and have y'all thought about what the law is in terms of taking out some of that money? Or, I mean, it's a parish-wide tax. I'm not, we're in the parish. We live in the parish. Can somebody answer that question?
The public comment period is just for you to make comment, and we'll try to address all your questions.
Okay. All right, great. Anyway, that's what my concerns were, and I don't think it's just about the money, frankly.
All right, Steve Irving.
Steve Irving, 18541 Bay Ridge Court, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I've worked in government a couple of times, and the first thing I always tell the people I work with in government is the first rule of government is don't do something stupid. This qualifies. I don't care if it's not intended to go into effect until the library tax fails. It's creating a danger that the library tax will fail because voters are going to see it as a money grab of library money by St. George, and it will get voted down. That tax will get voted down if it looks like a money grab by St. George. We have a very nice library system. Don't mess with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Michael Marcantel.
I have two questions. Michael Marcantel, I live on 6418 Snowden Drive in Woodlawn Estates. I had two questions, and I'd appreciate an answer for those two questions, but given the comments by the councilman, if the parish tax fails.
Can you talk close to your mic? Some people back there.
If the parish tax fails, what gives you confidence that a tax imposed within St. George would be, one, sufficient to fund this library, and two, what services are we going to lose by not being able to, to be able to access this? For example, I do a lot of historic research. I live around the block from the library. I walk over there. If they have the book I need, I check it out. If they don't have the book I need, and it's within the system, they retrieve it for me and hold it for me, and I'll go pick it up. If it's not in the East Baton Rouge Parish Library System, they will go out, do a search to find out where the book is, and if it's available, they'll have it transferred to the system on loan, send it to the library around the corner. So I don't see what having a single library in this system is going to achieve. My basic comment is akin to what he said, don't screw up a good thing, because this is a fantastic library system. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Is anybody else here to make public comment on this item? Yes, sir, come on down.
Hi, I apologize for not.
That's okay.
I apologize for not registering.
You're good. Name and address and go ahead.
Okay. My name is Ronnie Pierce. I am a member of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library Board of Control. I also spent 16 years in the business office with the library. For the record, my address is 10627 Tallowood Avenue in Baker. I'm a resident of Central, so I understand what it is you're trying to achieve as a city of St. George. We did the same thing 15-ish, 20 years ago. But anyway, with that said, I just want to make you aware of just what is involved in having your own library. First of all, the East Baton Rouge Parish system provides many databases to our patrons, and some of them are quite expensive. If you were to try to equal what is already offered, you would face that expense. The East Baton Rouge system has economy of scale or quantity discounts that because we have so many branches, we are able to get goods and services at a cheaper rate that a smaller system might not be able to afford, or at least not at the same price anyway. We bring in performers throughout the year. We bring in performers, we bring in authors, we bring in performers for children's programs. And because our system is large, we are able to guarantee these performers and these authors X number of performances, okay? I don't know that a smaller single library system would be able to achieve those same results. We have the book, we call them the bookmobiles. It's everything from vans to SUVs to full-scale RVs that visit daycares, Head Start centers, a charter school here in St. George, and senior citizens, assisted living centers, nursing homes, etc. That provides those citizens, those patrons, access to library services that they might not otherwise have due to transportation or mobility issues. We bring the library to these people. And then finally, just to be brief, we have maker spaces where patrons can sign up and learn how to sew, learn how to do 3D printing, put together Arduino robotics kits, even audio engineering and audio editing. If there is a would-be performer or sound engineer, they can sign up through maker spaces. And even if it's not at, say, Jones Creek, the patrons can take one of these classes and become proficient in these items at another branch. And then, and then people have already mentioned the duplication of services, so I won't belabor that point. But finally, if you want to equal what is already available through the East Baton Rouge Parish system, this is just a speculation on my part, but it would take 10 years at a minimum to invest as much money as we have put into this system for all residents of the parish. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else with public comment on this item? Well, you beat you to it. You can go next. This gentleman's going next. Name and address, sir.
Ryan Bauman, and I live at 13711 Willow Ridge Avenue.
Okay.
I grew up at the Jones Creek Library since I was a baby, so I am proud to sit here in support of it. As others have said, East Baton Rouge Parish has the best funded library system in the entire country. And also, as others have said, if I can't get a book there, I can download Libby or I can go to another branch. If St. George creates its own library system, I don't know if I will be able to access those services that I feel are very important to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Sean Luke, 4812 Five Forks Drive. As many have said, they are supportive of the library system. I'm supportive of this library system. My family has used both the digital resources as well as the in-building resources, such as checking out books for school, the 3D printing and other stuff that they offer, the meeting spaces. We've taken advantage of that. I realize that this is setting up a template for some future possibility that may or may not happen. I got two questions I would pose is, why would we lose anything by delaying this a month or two to see what the outcome of this potential possible liability or eventuality, whatever it is, happens? And two, have we looked at fiscally what would make more sense, trying to set up our own board versus working with the parish library and contributing a little more from our parish towards that and helping them, offset some of the potential loss? That seems like it would make more sense. You wouldn't have, the upfront costs of buildings, locations, books, all these other resources that we were talking about that previous gentleman mentioned that we wouldn't have to buy outright. It would be a smaller contribution or a smaller investment on our side to maintain access to all these resources that these previous people have already detailed extensively. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Joanne Kamega. I live at 1653 Michelle Delving in St. George. I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that many surrounding parishes have reciprocal relationships with East Baton Rouge Parish Library System, and many residents, out-of-parish residents, do come and utilize the services of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. Creating a separate system, even with reciprocal borrowership, which would take time to set up, is an added hardship on out-of-parish residents to utilize the services of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library, which is established and acknowledged as a very good library system. I agree with previous comment about the view of making this vote at this time, even as a structure or a framework, would be seen in a poor light, since nearly half of the residents of St. George did not vote to create the city. And I'm concerned that passing this motion at this time may give the residents of St. George a false notion that voting down the tax in a few weeks may be to their benefit because it's somehow simple to create a new library system with all of these resources available. I don't think a lot of residents would be aware of what they would be losing or how difficult it would be to create a library system that would give them the resources that the current system already provides. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
My name is Michael, 17914 Five Oaks Drive, St. George, Louisiana. At this point, I'm 100% for the new library system, mostly because I don't think the amount of money we're putting into it right now, somebody told me St. George is going to pay like $17 million this coming year towards the Baton Rouge Library. I don't think we're getting our return on investment, to be honest with you. I understand that the library system has a ton of money in reserve right now, and now they're asking for even more money in this tax vote that's coming up. So I would say that it seems like it's a money grab to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? You have a comment? You come on.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay. You're right on time.
Okay, I just want to say that I oppose.
Name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Juliette Dautrieve, 24111 Hoosier 2 Road, 46 years. I think this is premature. I'd like to see the Baton Rouge vote happen before anything new happens in St. George. I am a supporter of the library, and there's lots and lots of comments that have gone back and forth on several sites, and there is definitely a lot of misunderstanding, I think, as far as the funding goes. I do think that the library system has backed up and has now the option is for a lower millage than was previously accepted by, and I want everybody knows that the voters in Baton Rouge have unanimously voted to fund the library system every time it's come up. It was only after the new mayor started wanting access to that money that this had to happen, because in order to keep it dedicated to the library, the vote last year had to be negative. And now this vote is to just put back what there already was with a lower millage. And I understand that of the money that they have in reserves, a big chunk of that was donated, was moved over to the general fund. So I've appreciated the library system for many, many years. I've raised my kid to go to the library. We still use the library a lot. It's got lots of good information that I don't need to go into, lots of good options, things that people can do and access there. So I just, at this point, am not in favor of St. George right here, right now, trying to create a new library system. The one we have is very good and accessible to all of us. I use several. I sometimes go by Blue Bonnet because my folks live up in town. I often use Jones Creek, and I have gone to events at the main library. So I'm supporting of the Baton Rouge Library, and I would like St. George to wait before they try to do something different. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period at this time. Councilman Morone, you want to close on this?
Yes. All right, we'll see how this works. All right, so number one, this is incredibly awkward, so I'm just going to hold it like this. Number one, this is not intended to duplicate a library system. The intent is not to have the East Baton Rouge Parish Library tax on top of the St. George Library tax. This is, in a world where we currently live in, which is a vote no to everything world, this is a precursor or a backup plan in case all else fails, because that will be the second time in a row a library millage has failed. So that's first. Number two, in St. George, we told you from the very beginning, at least the 8 years I've been involved, that we were going to question every part of government, no matter whether it was a sacred cow or it was something that was obvious to the eye. We were going to question every facet of government to determine, could we do it better? Could we do it more efficiently? Or could we do it cheaper? And the library is not going to be an exception to that rule. We have to ask questions. We have to have these conversations, and we have to look and see, are there other priorities? Now, if you were listening earlier to the mayor earlier tonight, he said Bryant Dixon, our planning and zoning director, is part of the comprehensive land use plan for 2020. It's going to dictate St. George's future for the next 30 years. Surveyed the public to find out what are our biggest priorities. What came back? Streets, drainage, and public safety. 3 categories the parish has been woefully light and short on funding for a very long time, which is why we have terrible roads, we have massive flooding, and we have a monster crime problem. So 3 issues that we all identify as 1, 2, and 3 in any order, depending on which one affects you that day, are all affecting St. George citizens to the point where that's the only 3 things they listed as being concerns. And everyone in the parish is looking for funding for this issue. I know this because the DA has sued the parish over this issue. And they sued the parish over this issue because the parish has a requirement by the Constitution to fund those offices adequately. Now, what is adequate? A court's going to decide. But in that regard, if the Constitution requires
this office to be funded adequately at the DA's office, how do we look towards optional taxes that are putting money in silos that cannot be accessed in a situation where we're told the Constitution mandates the parish fund these offices? So we have to look at that as well to see if we can solve that problem. If we continue putting money in silos, we'll have no silo left for crime and public safety. And last time I checked, the DA is at least 1/3 of that component, along with the police department as well as the judges. So we have an obligation to question. I would argue, as a council, if we don't question every single function, whether it's local government or parish government, and we don't ask these questions, then we're derelict in our office and you should have us removed. I know. Now that's a popular thing to do these days. So we also wanted to look at comparables. Let's see if I can do two things at once. Let's go that way. And I looked at other library systems. Now, all of these places that are listed, it's no secret that every place on that list, New Orleans, Nashville, and Dallas, Houston could have been on that list as well, all have much larger populations than we do. Not only do we outspend per capita than those cities, we have larger budgets than most of those cities, which seems to be out of line with our population totals. Which may be the reason, part of the reason we've created such a massive surplus. We're funding it at a level that's not just unseen in Louisiana. It's unseen on a national scale. So we have a 9.5 mills come into the ballot. Now, 8.3 failed on, last year with the Thrive Plan. There may be a million reasons why that happened, and I'm not here to debate the Thrive Plan. That thing is gone. But in my mind, I look at a situation where St. George citizens are spending about $17.5 million contributing to this library system. And the Jones Creek Library costs about $3.5 million a year to run. If we added all the bells and whistles a Goodwood Library offers, we might get to $5 million a year for that library. So the proposal would be in the future, and it's not for debate today, so I'll just leave it there, and it would be subject to public hearings. What do you want your library to be? This is one of the big St. George issues. We want St. George citizens to control St. George tax dollars, and to that end, we want it to go to St. George services. And in the future, you'll have the opportunity, if this vote fails, and if it passes, this is all for fun, if it fails, you'll have the opportunity to decide what that millage should be if it should come back on a ballot. And at 5 mills, that's about $8.5, almost $9 million to run a library that I think, at most, costs $5 million a year to run. Again, backup plan. So you look at the average cities nationally, $45 to $50 a person. We're at $130 a person. And you can debate on whether each library, and I know as soon as we get into this, I hear about seed libraries and maker spaces, and all these wonderful services. I do not disagree with you. The library has a plethora of wonderful services, so I'm not disputing that. What I'm disputing is, in an age where we all agree that streets, drainage, and public safety are our three biggest concerns, what I'm debating on is whether there's a lower price tag for all those services that can get us closer to solving streets, drainage, and public safety. Because what I don't need to get is my car bottoming out in a pothole on the way to the library, while driving through the floodwater, while getting shot at in the parking lot. And I'll go through some of this. I mean, the reality is, the budget for the Jones Creek Library could be $4.5 million. I know there's a lot of services. We heard about digital services a lot, the Libby service. There's a bunch of different services that offer that. That is not exclusive. Other library systems offer this same exact service the exact same way. It's a subscription-based service. So for those who enjoy the digital content, that is always going to be available. And yes, this conversation did come about because I looked at the Jones Creek Library being the only library in 60 square miles for the city of St. George. And while I understand that I can go across the border to Bluebonnet and enjoy that library, or Goodwood to enjoy their library, when you have a robust library system in your city, there are indirect dollars that benefit other businesses in our community. So having more brick and mortar libraries, say for example, we took Westminster, which is a closed school system, and we made that a library on the other half of the parish, which happens to be in District 5, where I'm at. That would now offer not just the neighborhood a space to go to, it would keep traffic off the roads. When you have traffic going to other libraries, that causes commute times to lengthen, it causes traffic delays, and ultimately raises traffic accidents. But if you had that other library system, Jefferson Terrace is a wonderful example. They've got an empty space for a library. These are places that could benefit from a brick and mortar library. So I pose the question, if brick and mortar libraries are important, why doesn't St. George, 86,000 residents, contributing $17.5 million annually to this library system, why don't we have more of them? And if they're not that important, why do we keep building them? Because we got 2 more libraries scheduled to be built, and neither one of those is in St. George either. So this is kind of a projected budget that would be for the Jones Creek Library, which includes all the different programs that you've come to know and love, and I'm sure we can debate the numbers ad nauseum, but again, this is just a backup plan. So if the vote fails on June 27th, we'll have a lengthy amount of time to sit down and go through this and debate the merits and the dollars for it. But the idea is not to take away services in St. George. The idea is, can we do a couple of different things? Do it better for the same price, or give you the same thing for cheaper? And I'm just trying to give you options and have this conversation. We agree, it can be more than a traditional brick and mortar location. I would like it to be more digital. Did I kill it? Fine. No. I'd like it to be more robust. I'd like it to offer more. I'd like it to do more. And I think we can. And when it's controlled or operated by a St. George Citizens Library Board, then all of the decisions for that branch would be solely decided by St. George citizens. So in the future, instead of hoping and praying we can have some conversation about this, we can actually control the decision-making process. And yes, I'm biased. I'm not going to lie to you. I want more St. George stuff. I want more libraries. I want more control for our citizens to decide our future and how we want the library to work. And y'all coming today and telling me the opposite, that you want to keep the same system? That's awesome, great, because that's part of that conversation as well. So again, going back to it, local board is local budget, local control, and local metrics. And we can be flexible. We've heard about economy of scale for so long now with the city of St. George and the parish of East Baton Rouge. And we've learned so far in 2 years of St. George, that is not how it really works. The city of St. George is operating much leaner, much more efficiently than our neighbors in East Baton Rouge Parish, and that has nothing to do with economies of scale. It's just being better stewards of tax dollars and being better about spending those dollars. So again, if we did move forward after June 27th, what I would propose is, as the library board is appointed to start that process, it'd be subject to public meetings with you, St. George citizens, the St. George residents, and taxpayers of St. George to sit down and decide the future of this library system. You want more brick and mortar? That is great. You want more digital? And what does that mean? Great. You want citywide hotspots as part of your library system? How about not having to leave your house at all? Somebody said they spend a lot of their time accessing digital things online at their home. What if you had the ability to get free Wi-Fi at your house through the city? Would that be interesting? Would that be something that would be a use of the library? Absolutely. So we can do those things, and we can look at those things, and those are all possibilities if St. George controls its own library system, only if this library system fails. So I'll stop at that point, because again, it's a backup plan. But I'll leave you with that and just say, I'm glad we're having the discussion, whether it goes either way. I think it's important. And every single issue in Baton Rouge, in this parish, should go through the same scrutiny. Whether it's the library, whether it's the Council on Aging, whether it's the garbage man, everybody should be subject to the same level of scrutiny. Thank you.
I'd like to make one comment, and this isn't necessarily just about the library. This is about a larger discussion that has to be had eventually at some point in this parish. But I'll start with St. George. And these are real numbers. Fact check me, please. They come from the assessor's office. They come from sales tax collection group of the city parish. And this is just kind of an FYI for St. George residents of what we put into this system currently. Currently, you as a St. George resident collectively put in $175 million a year in property taxes. $175 million a year. And to Councilman Merle's point, $17 million goes to the library system. You put $25 million a year into BREC. You put $5 million a year in the Council on Aging. You put over $100 million a year, excuse me, back it up. You put in about $75 million a year into the school system. And that's just property taxes. Now let's get to a sales tax. This conversation has come up quite a bit with our dealings with the parish. St. George, when are you going to pay your fair share? When are you going to pay your fair share? Well, let's talk about sales tax. Currently, right now, you, the residents of St. George, are still putting $40 million a year in sales tax revenue that's generated into St. George right back into the parish. You ask me how? I'll tell you how. You pay a half cent for a green light program, you pay a half cent for Move BR, and you pay another half cent for the Consolidated Sewer District, okay? So at some point in time, and this was a good time to start, some people question the timing, if not now, when? When are we gonna have these open, honest conversations about where our dollars are being spent and how they're being spent? To Councilman Merle's point, we live in a parish that has a lot of collective issues. And guess what? St. George is part of East Baton Rouge Parish. We're never going to not be part of East Baton Rouge Parish, okay? Issues around the parish have positive effects on us, and sometimes they have negative effects on it. But I just wanted people to be aware of the amount of money that we currently put into this system, whether it's the library or BREC or going directly back to the city parish. So, you know, a part of me is a little bit tired of the old conversation of when are you going to pay your fair share. You've been paying it for years. For years, you've been paying your fair share back into the system. And I can actually make the argument that you've been paying more than your fair share back into the system. So, I'll end my comment on that, but I think this is a good conversation. This is what government is supposed to do. This is part of what an elected body is supposed to do. They're supposed to be looking after your tax dollars. And it doesn't make a difference which entity is collecting those dollars. It's our responsibility because you put us in place for this reason. You created the city of St. George for this. You elected everybody that sits up on this table for that. If we weren't doing this, we wouldn't be doing our job for you. Council?
Motion to defer for 30 days.
I'll second that.
Motion to defer for 30 days by Councilman Merle, second by Councilman Talbot. Any opposition to that? Hearing none, item has been deferred for 30 days. All right, other business announcements. Next city council meeting, Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026 at 5 p.m. Administrative hearing, Friday, June 12th, 2026, 9 a.m. St. George celebrates 250, Sunday, July 5th, 2026, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Highland Road Park. Board of Adjustment meeting, Monday, July 6th, 2026, at 5 p.m. Planning Commission meeting, Monday, July 6th, 2026, 6 p.m. Zoning Commission meeting, Monday, July 6th, 2026, at 6 p.m. Congratulations. Get a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Himmel. Second by Talbot. Any opposition? Never is. Thanks for coming. Meeting is adjourned.